Valid Amtrak ticket. Once again, we must have a valid Amtrak ticket. We do not accept Metrolink tickets. Valid Amtrak ticket. This is Amtrak service 581 northbound. Once again, must have a valid Amtrak ticket.
I saw a baseball game there last week. Have you ever been to a baseball game?
it's here they built this.
Oh, scooch over right here. Yeah, see what's over here.
Another one! It's not the night.
And then the track power response them, and the computer chip in the engine tells it what speed to go.
So your website will tell you where you're at.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And then the local clubs, it's a great place to go. It's
Belmont Shores, over
Yes.
by Long Beach.
Yes, yes. So they'll have a, they're going to have a swap meet coming up pretty soon.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got we got light.
You can go back to the terminal.
Chavez Bridge.
This was delivered in 1927 to the Santa Fe Railroad. It was the first 484, so the first of this type of locomotive delivered to the Santa Fe. It was originally delivered as a coal-fired steam locomotive. Then in 1943, Santa Fe upfitted the locomotive, refurbished it, and changed some things, converted it to an oil-fired steam locomotive. Obviously, for most of the southwestern railroads, acquiring oil was much, much easier and a lot more plentiful than coal. So fuel oil ended up being a much better source, and also a lot less cinders, right? So you don't have to worry about coal dust and coal cinders causing line side fires. So left side of the locomotive here is the fireman's seat, and so these are kind of things that the tools of the trade for the fireman. This controls the amount of fuel oil that gets fed into the atomizer. So this knob over here turns the atomizer, which is kind of like the little spray nozzle for the oil. It changes kind of where it hits in the firebox and how much is being sprayed, where it's being sprayed. So you kind of adjust accordingly. This gauges the amount of fuel that's being used. So ideally, if the fireman and engineer are working together the most efficiently, there's very little visible smoke from the smokestack. Side glasses for your water, right? So ideally, you want to keep the water in the middle. It is a long tube, right? So they have to keep in mind if they're on a grade and they're going uphill or downhill. Where the water is not necessarily indicative of the actual level in the boiler, so you have to take that into consideration. So you want to always make sure you have water in the boiler. It's super, super important. And then this gauge here in the middle is faced in this direction because it's very important to both people in the steam crew, right? The fireman is trying to maintain steam, and so this is the steam gauge. The engineer is looking over to see what kind of steam he has to do what he's doing with the locomotive, right?
What's the top speed?
The recorded official top speed is 90 miles an hour. There are people who operated this class of locomotive that reported getting them well north of that.
What is
a little bit different time, right? There wasn't a computer that could kind of see what you were doing.
runaway train?
Yeah, they'd get out there away from the station if they needed to make up time. They find a way.
Normal speed in cruise.
Cruising, the locomotive really kind of settles in and just feels super smooth. It really just kind of depends on what you're doing and what's behind you, but you can cruise at 20, 30 miles an hour very, very efficiently. It's very nice.
And
Even at 40, it's pretty calm up here.
is this train usually for excursion train most of the time?
So the locomotive was refurbished in 1943 and converted to burn oil, and then she continued to work for the Santa Fe until 1956. Locomotive was retired, and then shortly after that was donated to the city of San Bernardino and put in a park outside the depot called Viaduct Park. And there she sat outside the depot for a number of years. In 1981, a group of gentlemen got together and said, "Hey, we'd like to do something cool as far as preserving rail history," and they formed the San Bernardino Railroad Historical Society. And they approached the city of San Bernardino and they said, "Hey, we'd like to take that Santa Fe steam locomotive off your hands and restore to operating condition." So in 1986, everything was put in place, and they removed the locomotive from the park outside the depot and began restoration. So they tugged it over to Kaiser Steel in Fontana and tore her apart, stem to stern. Basically took everything apart, inspected everything, started fixing what needed to be fixed, put her all back together, and in 1991, she returned to steam. Yes, young man.
How many coal does this engine need?
How many coals? Well, anymore, 0 coals. In the beginning, a lot of coals, but now it needs a lot of oil. Has your dad ever changed the oil in your car? You ever seen it? In black?
Second black hole.
Yeah. Well, after your dad takes that out of the car, he takes it and sends it to the recycling center. They gather that all up from a bunch of people, send it through a couple of machines to try to get some of the dirt and stuff out of it, and then they give it to us. We put it back there, we shoot it in here and burn it.
Oh, so you put the coal in the tender and then the coal burns.
Well, that's like oil.
The oil burns.
Yeah. Yep, the oil. Yep. Some steam locomotives are coal-fired. This one's oil-fired. That's why you don't see any black rocks up there. No coal, right? It's hidden. The oil's hidden in that bunker back there. 7,000 gallons.
Whoa, nice.
Yeah, so 7,000 jugs of milk.
That's a lot.
That is a lot.
That's a lot.
What was that,
How-
about 20
and
miles?
how much water? Yes.
Maybe
20,000 gallons of milk.
so 20,000 gallons of water.
Yes, sir. It's a lot of water. She gets pretty thirsty.
It's not quite energy efficient.
Ironically enough, steam locomotives are very efficient once they get moving. Yes, sir. Yep.
You need that
yep.
much water to keep the boiler all filled
Yeah,
up.
you just want to keep you can run out of fuel. You don't ever want to run out of water. Running out of water is bad business.
Because in the firebox it's burning so high, and like if it gets too hot without any water, it starts melting.
Yeah. The temperatures inside the firebox can get well in the range of softening the metal. And when you've got 220 pounds of steam per square inch behind said metal, you don't want it to get soft.
That's it's the right amount of steam you need to move this thing.
That's right.
Is this the place you dump the coal?
So this is the firebox door. So behind here, when the fire's burning, you can see you can actually look through the little sight hole and kind of gauge where the fire's at. You slide that open, you can see into the firebox. We keep it closed, obviously, because we're trying to maintain as much pressure as we can so we're ready to go when we need to go.
So does this train use like positive train control system nowadays?
So we are actually working to, through various donations and grants, which we sincerely appreciate, install full PTC on this locomotive. So it will not need any diesel behind it to operate in PTC. It will be fully PTC compliant by itself.
So with PTC equipped, like, would it
In
still
theory,
have?
we could go anywhere.
Would it still need to have like a diesel locomotive to push it, or
So most railroads that have operating steam locomotives with diesels behind them don't necessarily need the diesels to pull the train. It's there to help with things like the longevity of the brakes, helping with dynamic braking downhill, or extending range. Right, if you do kind of get to a position where you need to extend because of how much water you've got, you can let the diesel help a little bit more, but mostly it's for braking. Generally, it's not a necessity. The steam locomotive would operate just fine by herself with no diesel
Just have to
assistance.
use a precaution.
Just depends on every railroad and how they operate things, right? Some railroads, from time to time, even railroads that sometimes run with diesels behind them, Union Pacific, every once in a while runs 4014 with no diesels. So you don't need the diesel. It can help, but you don't need the diesel.
so once 3751 has like the positive train control, it works functionally pretty well. Is it able to like do more excursion runs, just like the?
That's what we're hoping, right? Any of those things definitely open up more possibilities for us. More than happy. We just try to stay ready, so if anybody comes knocking, we can answer the door. So real quick, we'll go through this again. So steam gauge, right? Anybody know what this is?
Speedometer?
Yes, sir. Right, speedometer. So on this side of the locomotive over here, you'll notice we've got this little yellow nut that seems to be hanging in the air here. There's a pin through this little hole here. Anybody know what this lever here does?
Brake? No, that's not brake. It's usually this golden thing.
These are brakes. Yep, that's correct. So this is your independent brake, so just the locomotive, and your train brake.
Where's the steering wheel?
It's right.
Is it the
Oh,
red?
that's right. There's none. No steering wheel.
I think the red one probably is for back and.
That is for your direction of travel, correct. This is your reverser, so right now it's in neutral, right? So forward or back, you go forward or reverse. So then what does this leave this as?
I think it's a speed.
Throttle, brakes, reverser, throttle. So this pins through here so that you can't accidentally pull it open. It's like the e-brake or it's the club, the steam version of a club, right? You got to take that out before you can move it. So we got this little nut hanging in here, so we know that the pin's in, so that we can't actually pull the throttle out.
How do you guys know when to stop?
Well, signal indications, right? The engineer and firemen would be paying attention down the track and looking at the lights kind of like in your car. You know to go when the light turns green, right? So same thing. The railroads have a very similar system. So if the signal's green, it's your turn to go. Then of course also the radio will help too, right? You can communicate with just about anybody anywhere if you're on the right channel.
Wait, so basically on signal, what if the light is blinking orange on the like a track?
Well, generally, right, then you can, if you want clarification, you can always contact the dispatcher and ask them what they want you to do.
Normally means like to prepare to stop up ahead, because normally it's a red after a yellow.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Where's the throttle?
Right here.
No windshield?
What's that?
No windshield.
Yeah, you've got two little teeny tiny ones, right there and right there.
Oh, I see.
And then our air conditioning is at the front of the locomotive on the cabs here, or the front of the cab of the locomotive. Two little doors that swing out, suck air in like the old A-wings on cars, and the cab vents.
Wow. So basically you need to see to conduct the thing.
Basically, if you ever sit in one of those seats and try to look out that little tiny window and see past that big old boiler that's sticking out in front of you, you'll understand why train crews you often see in steam locomotives hanging way out the window.
Just reminds me of Polar Express in kind of.
Oh yeah.
Hanging way out the window, right? Gotta be able to see. Same thing. So, well, again, depending on the railroad and how the signals are positioned, generally they're on the operator side of the locomotive, so the engineer would be looking. But same situation. To see down the locomotive over here, you're not seeing much looking out that window. You got to really lean out.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions? All right.
Any questions, someone?
Does this usually
Good.
pull Amtrak trains kind of on a special occasion or something?
Again, we're more than happy to work with anybody that wants us to work with them, right? We appreciate all of the support from everybody and any willingness for anyone to let us work with them.
If they were going to make a movie, this type of train will be functional. You guys sort of lease it out.
If somebody came, you know any movie producers that need a steam locomotive, we'll give you our card. Unfortunately, we have for our tour, we already have somebody that's paid to blow the whistle. So,
but we can ring the bell, right?
Sure, yeah. You want to ring the bell?
That thing's pretty heavy.
It's screamed in.
Yeah.
Shit, it's time to ring the bell for 751.
Si puede, oílo. Oh, wow, that's a good one.
What's up, Mike?
Yes.
Keep going, Bell. Keep going. You gotta keep going with the bell. It's coming right now.
Hey guys, whistle.
Whistle.